let's talk about Alexander Madison because I feel my man's being disrespected here. He had the fourth most guaranteed money out of any free agent running back signing, which I know is not a lot because running backs, boo-hoo. But he really does have a good chance to finish as an RB1 in fantasy. In 6 career games where he has taken over 50% of the snaps, he averaged 23.3 touches for 118 yards and 0.7 touchdowns. That is good for 22.15 PPR points. He's going at his RB23 right now. That's ridiculous. 69 overall. So you can catch him in the 6th, 5th. It's a hell of a running back to add to your team. And he also happens to play on a top 10 scoring offense and has a ridiculous schedule this year. I mean, it's the Bears, the Packers, and the Lions, who were pretty atrocious against the run last year. Gets those guys, 4 times? Yeah. 6 times. We will see Ty Chandler. We will see Nwangu. We will see McBride this year. But this is Madison's backfield. He did have a lower leg injury that got him in camp a little bit, but all reports are he is perfectly fine. So draft Alexander Madison. Thank me later.
I think my biggest thing about Madison, he's getting hated on in camp. It's actually a good thing for fantasy football because you're going to be able to get Madison a little later than you would have. I think he probably might slip around if this news kind of continues, but there's 250 rushes vacated on this offense. I don't even care how efficient Madison is with that. He's going to end up with 250 rushes. He's going to end up with at least 900 to 1,000 yards and probably 8 touchdowns. Like, why would you not want him on your team in the 5th or 6th round? Like,
I don't know. This just seems it's like one guy this offseason came out and said that Alexander Madison wasn't good. Don't draft him. And everyone just kind of went along with it. I don't understand it at all.
It's because if you look at his stats, you see 400 yards each season. It's like, that's not very good. It's like, yeah, Dalvin Cook was there all of those years and he missed 4 games tops.
I keep hearing, oh man, he would have gotten more playing time. He was behind Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook is incredible. Like, what are these people talking about?
Also, this is the same person that every single person wanted on their team. The one handcuff that was drafted in almost every single format of fantasy football, but yet all of a sudden he has a starting job. We're like, never mind, I don't want him anymore.
It's such a beautiful point that I haven't even thought of. How many analysts did you guys hear last year talk? You got to have Madison. He's standalone value. He's the most valuable handcuff. God, that's such a good argument. I'm upset I didn't come up with that.
You're welcome. It was just sitting there, man. It's for the Peckins.
No, it's no kidding. And, I mean, this offense is still going to be humming right along. Like, he still is going to be the guy on the goal line getting the touchdowns. I don't see why people are not buying in on the Madison hype. I think people are just – there's been some performances that have left a bad taste in people's mouth. Maybe that's what it is. I can't fathom why a running back that's getting positioned as the starter on a team is being disrespected as like, well, he's not that good, right? And that's not normally how we treat that. So, yeah, no, you're a good point.
Go draft you some Madison.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and I'm just gonna pop right on in here because it's been a long time since I've talked about the Eagles. So let's talk about Mr. DeAndre Swift. Wow, that's interesting. I'm working on it, guys. Some technical difficulties. There we are. All right, so I don't know. Oh shit, that's my other tab.
Yeah.
Is it in incognito mode at least? Okay. Anyway, so I'm just starting to get more and more excited about seeing number 0 on Sundays. The prospect of having the Eagles' first true pass catching running back since Darren Sproles is just kind of mesmerizing. I didn't realize that what I'm missing here. And honestly, he's already been dominating storylines in camp, and he's been lining up everywhere on every position, catching balls out of the backfield, catching balls, lining up as wide receiver, tight end, everything. Honestly, the Eagles just seem destined to use him heavily in the passing game, mainly because they fucking hate the run game as it is. So really, the most important thing about Swift is not his production in the past, but what he did to the Eagles on week 1. Swift played in Eagles week 1 last year and gashed them for over 170 yards on 18 touches. 15 of those were runs. There's a reason why the Eagles called once Gibbs was drafted. I mean, just looking at what Swift brought to Detroit, even in his 13-14 games, he had 156 catches in his 3-year career, and he hasn't played a full season yet. I understand injuries, blah, blah, blah. When you play 13 games, though, people aren't usually that upset about it. So he was also basically splitting the backfield last year as well, and he still ended up as a top 20 running back, which didn't even seem right. Obviously, there were some big weeks in there, but I don't know. There's 100-ish targets to eat the running back in the Eagles past like 3 years average, and Quez Watkins, it's been mostly a bust to start his career. As much as I love him, Pascal was used essentially out of the backfield last year because Gainwell and Sanders weren't it, or they just didn't throw to Sanders. I'm just seeing most of these going to Swift at this point, and I'm looking at like a wide receiver type season for Swift. I don't know what he's going to do on the ground, because if Penny stays healthy the full year, you're probably going to have 10 to 15 carries to him and probably 5 to Swift, and then like 8 catches out of the backfield. I'm excited about this because not only is there a chance that he has a starting job by himself, but even as the second, the points that he's going to be able to put up with Jalen Hurts out of the backfield and dump offs and design plays for DeAndre Swift's ability. His current ADP is just at an all-time low. He's going as running back like 25, 35 in the 6th round. I just go get him. I don't even need to tell you anymore. I could talk about Swift a little bit longer, but I'm just going to leave it there. Just go get him.
Well, I mean, here's the thing is, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier, they don't have a slot guy, really. They don't have a slot wide receiver. Welcome DeAndre Swift. Now you have a running back and a slot receiver built into one player. You can use them at both positions, and boy, would they love to have a weapon like that on the field at all times. DeAndre Swift makes perfect sense to have a complete breakout this year, and he won't need to be used as much as he was for the Lions, so he can actually stay healthy this year because you don't need him to run as much as he did, or to, they just need him to get some pass catching touches, a few rushes. Perfect.
He literally missed. A lot of people are going to say, well, he's injury prone. He missed 3 games each year. If you count that as injury prone, then I don't know what to tell you. People get injured. It's a dangerous game. And the man has played the majority of his career, albeit not up to what he
weird
thought
last
he was.
year. It was weird last year because he got injured and then he came back and then they were like, he went from getting 18 touches to getting 6 touches a game. And it was very strange. A lot of people thought it was injury. I don't know if any news ever came out about that. I think the Lions just kind of gave up on him. Personally, Jamal Williams was doing fine. I'm a huge DeAndre Swift fan, and I absolutely love it, especially with Rashad Penny's injury history. I mean, you think it's crowded now. Come week 1, it could not be crowded at all on that. So the only thing with Swift that's weird is the ADP. I mean, you said he's going to like 79 right now on average. I've seen him go in the 5th round. I've seen him go super early, and I've seen him go super late. So he's one of those guys that I would definitely be targeting more towards the later side. But people really like the name. They love the name, and they grab him early. So time will tell if that's a good gamble.
Swift is going to be one of those players that like everybody had drafted kind of a little bit later than they probably thought they were going to get him, but they got him, and he's going to like pop off the first 2 weeks of the season, and everybody's going to be like, well, duh. Like, of course that happened. Like, why did we overthink that? Like, exactly. Nobody's going to be shocked. They're just going to be mad that they didn't grab him because they were like, well, kind of want to see how this goes. I don't want to be the guy to take him. And then they're going to be mad that they weren't the guy that took him.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it would be sketchy, but if you were to go wide receiver super early and follow it up with Madison, Swift, maybe an Antonio Gibson in there too, I'd say that's a pretty solid core right there for running backs. Switch them out.
Think about DeAndre Swift at this point in the 5th, 6th round. You're getting a potential running back 1, but even if he isn't, he's still a running back 2. He literally has finished as a running back 2 the last 3 years. I mean, he's a running back 2 at the very least, and he's being drafted as a running back 3 is what it comes down to. Even at what he did last year, if he did the exact same thing as last year, which we're hoping obviously is better, still a running back 2. Like,
it's true.
Go just get him.
Get Swifty.
I'm not saying reach for him because you're right, Joe. There's going to be people drafting him for him in like the 3rd round. It's going to be pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of underdog lately, man, and he just goes everywhere. I've seen him in the 9th round. I've seen him in the 4th round. I'm like, what the hell is this guy's ADP?
We don't know. That's why it's so average.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see where he goes in our draft on Friday because, I mean, either Josh is going to take him way too high or somebody's going to get a hell of a steal. So
nobody's going to get a steal. Don't worry. I won't make it. He won't make it that far.
Fair enough.
Stop the steal.
My running back contribution to this is Ramondre Stevenson. So I know that you all, I've kind of planted my flag, and he is going to be a good running back this season. Let me just explain why. So, we can all admit the Patriots were kind of shitty last year. What's my phone doing? Wow, okay, my bad. That was so, technical difficulties. Had a tab pop up. It was making this sound.
It was definitely.
Had to mute that real quick. My bad. All right. So we can all admit that the Patriots had a bad offense last season. You two would openly admit that it was a bad offense last season, right?
I think they will continue to have a bad offense this season, but yes.
Fair enough. But we can all admit that it was bad last season. Ramondre Stevenson had 270 touches last season, 88 targets through the air. I only can see that maybe even goes up or higher this season. He does not have a strong backup behind him. Now, I know that there is plenty of people out there saying, well, they could bring in Dalvin Cook. Doesn't look that way. They could. Yes, Joe.
He does have a strong backup behind him, but
okay. Let him finish, man. Fucking
Thanks,
Kanye
Joe.
coming in here.
I mean, it's literally the guy's last name. I don't know.
Yeah, he has a strong junior behind him, though. It's not a strong senior.
Sorry, Bo.
No, you're good. Anyway, he might have Leonard Fournette come in. They might bring Ezekiel Elliott in. I'm not worried about either of those guys taking significant touches. I do think they'll bring in a backup that will be there in case he gets injured. But I think if he remains completely healthy for the entire season, we're looking at a potentially 300-touch player here throughout the season. He only had 6 touchdowns combined last season. I think that number goes up. And I think that where he's going right now, which is running back 10, number 25 overall, I think he's going to bring back that kind of value. And I think he's going to be one of those running backs that you grab in potentially the 3rd round if this ADP holds. And you're going to be very happy that you went wide receiver, Ramondre Stevenson. Like, you're going to be over the moon that you were able to get Justin Jefferson in the 1st. I don't know, whoever you're going to get for your second, wide receiver at the end of the 2nd. And then you snake around to the 3rd, you grab Ramondre Stevenson right off the bat. You are going to be very happy that you made that decision. And I just think this year is going to be a breakout. Next year, he might not be on the team because that's how Bill Belichick rolls. This season, he's got Bill Belichick's, vote of confidence, and he's got my vote of confidence as well.
You want to know why the Patriots didn't have a running back 1? Because they had Tom Brady. They already had a 1. They didn't need a 1. This year, they don't have Tom Brady. They have Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi. And it's not it. And they don't even have wide receivers, if we're being completely honest here. This team is not great. But Ramondre Stevenson is a diamond in the rough. 10 double-digit points in scoring points in a row from weeks 3 to 13, or I guess it was 9. Technically, there's a bye week in there. Oh, that's 10 still because I'm bad at math. But 6 of those were 20-point performances. Like, there's nothing better than consistency in fantasy football, and Ramondre Stevenson is consistency. And I'm sorry, Joe. Yes, there's a strong person behind him, but it's Stevenson's backfield to start with right now. I mean, I like them as handcuffs, sure, but honestly, I don't think anyone's like Stevenson on this team. I don't even think there's a compliment would be great, pass catching guy, even though he only dropped like 12 balls last year, and I don't even know, that's probably overthrows by Zappi and Mac Jones. So yeah, no, I'm super hyped about Stevenson, and his value is just amazing.
Yeah, I just couldn't resist a good dad joke there.
No, you nailed it. You nailed it.
I am a big fan of Pierre Strong, but I don't think he's going to get into Ramondre Stevenson's workload. It's his backfield, and you're right. I do think they should bring someone in if they're smart. I imagine they do, especially with the plethora of running backs, but who knows? But he's guaranteed probably, 250, 240 touches?
I would say so.
Even if they bring someone in.
He was at 280 last year, so if you assume that they at least similar with worse running backs, I think the best thing that could happen is if they brought in like Zeke Elliott, because his ADP would just dive straight down.
Yeah.
And you're gonna end up with a really good player in potentially the 4th or 5th round of a running back that is wide, running back 1 upside. Like I don't know. I can't believe he's going as high as he is right now. I really thought he was going to be my diamond in the rough player for the whole year, but he's, everybody else is kind of, on the same boat as me right now, which is okay because I like that. But I'm just hoping that, we can maybe get a discount. We're not going to get one before our draft on Friday, but maybe before some of my other drafts and other leagues, we can get a discount on him by adding a running back into the fold.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Stevenson wasn't really a guy on my radar, but you absolutely sold him to me this year, and I'm all aboard the train. Good pick.
After the Tony Pollard take 2 years ago, man, I'm listening to you whenever you got this. I'm listening to your running back. Nothing else. Nothing else.
These weird inklings, I guess.